What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy, the Goose, and the Goose is loose, baby. And I am here today with my Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode number 4 review. The Whole World is Watching is the name of this episode. If you're new to the channel, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. If the button is still red, that means you are not subscribed. We're on my track to 100 subscribers, and every subscription along the way counts. Please hit that like button, as that helps my videos get seen by a larger audience. And if you enjoy the video, please drop me a comment down below. So, episode number 4 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was an excellent one. I feel like every episode of this series has gotten better. Like, it started off strong, and every episode is one up to the last, which is hard to do. So, tip of the cap for that first off. But within the first minute of the episode, I cried. We start off, and we're in Wakanda, and we are with Ayo and Bucky. I hope her name is pronounced Ayo. I think that's what it is. And she is doing the Winter Soldier trigger words. I thought she was like triggering him for a mission as the White Wolf. And as she goes through the words, Sebastian Stan acts his ass off. When I say he's my favorite part of the series, it's no disrespect to Anthony Mackie, who's been excellent. It's just the emotional stakes of what Bucky has gone through so far in 4 episodes. Wow. And of course for Sam as well. But for Bucky, it just feels more intense, I suppose, because of the violent nature of his past. But as Ayo says every word, Bucky gets more and more afraid of what's going to happen. And he's crying by the end of it. And she says, "You're free." And that broke me. Like, I was already there with Bucky as he was going through that, but when she said, "You're free," whew, felt that. That was the most important moment of Bucky's life, potentially. Being let free of that Winter Soldier persona. So the fact that they took us back there, and the fact that we now know Wakanda and Ayo are the ones that helped him come back from that, kind of shows you what level of respect and duty Bucky feels towards Wakanda, and just gratitude. But then we get back to the present, and Ayo says, I believe she gives him 8 hours. And says, "We'll be back after that." Like, you don't get more time than that for the man that killed our king, being T'Chaka. They did not reference T'Challa at all here, or the Black Panther mantle, which isn't a surprise, but I'm hoping we get some kind of nod. So then we're back in one of the safe houses with the big 3, Bucky, Zemo, and Sam. And it's more interesting discourse about the serum. It's a morality question, the way they're presenting it. And Sam, at one point, they start talking about the Avengers and super soldiers and Nazis. And Sam goes, "Hey, those are our friends." And Bucky goes, "The Avengers, not the Nazis." For me, that kind of was like, it raised my eyebrows a little bit. I was like, ooh, Red Skull? Like, if we're talking about Nazis again, Red Skull, Zola, maybe Zola. But it was interesting to me that Bucky pointed out the Avengers, not the Nazis. Like, nobody would have thought they were talking about the Nazis. So the fact that they mentioned that felt maybe not significant, but noteworthy. So then the final moment of the scene is Bucky saying, "But the serum never corrupted Steve." And Zemo says, "Touche." And the thing is, though, there's never been another Steve Rogers. And it's interesting that we kind of have to separate Steve Rogers' legacy from the legacy of Captain America now. because we know there are super soldiers before him, after him, and still happening. Well, maybe not before him. I'm not sure if, because I think Isaiah Bradley was clearly after Cap got the serum. So it's just a matter of the Captain America legacy does not belong to Steve Rogers. He's a part of the legacy. And that's a very interesting takeaway. Um, so then Bucky, Zemo, and Sam go undercover. Well, not undercover, but they go investigating at where the woman died. What was her name? Mama Danya? Yes, Mama Danya. And they start talking to people. Sam talks to a teacher who says, like, the GRC hasn't been here in 6 months. They said they were going to supply us with more teachers, with more means, and they haven't. And even though he knows who Sam is, he can't trust him. So that's hard for Sam. He's trying to be a good person, but because he's an Avenger, people don't trust him. It's kind of showing you why Steve had to go off the grid because I mean, it's like what they said earlier when Walker and Hoskins were trying to toe the line. Sam was like, we're free agents. We don't have rules. But he can't change the public perception of the fact that he is an Avenger. So he can't get that level of trust. Then we get Zemo talking to a child or a group of children and offering them candy. He is so manipulative, man. Like, he can work anybody. I feel like in the episode where they had to go undercover last week, it felt like he was manipulating Bucky. I feel like Bucky is strong enough to know this and was allowing it to happen, but Zemo's very persuasive. So then Sam calls. Hold on. So then we find Karli in a graveyard unburying the serums. I don't think the name on the tombstone has any significance, but I could be wrong. Then we talk more about Captain America. And it's kind of hinted for the first time Karli could be the next Captain America because the guy with her says the people need somebody who looks like them, somebody who is closer to them. And I think what that means is like, look, Steve Rogers, Chris Evans, he's big, white, and handsome. John Walker, big, white, and handsome. That's not relatable for every person. Karli is a person of the world, and I think that's part of her appeal. And then she says, our history outlives that shield, and talks about how that shield is a symbol of a bygone era and the symbol of people that had been left behind. So it's really interesting to see what this symbol, the shield, means to different people. I mean, this whole series is really about the legacy of Captain America and the state of America, I suppose. And it's interesting to hear the different perspectives. Still early. I woke up early to watch the episode, so coffee. So, then we get to John Walker and Lamar Hoskins. I think it's Hoskins. I don't believe it's Haskins. They find Zemo, Sam, and Bucky and start to push for answers. Hoskins is the one to agree with Sam and say, let him go in alone, give him the 10 minutes. So, right from the bat, Lamar is kind of the voice of reason for John, it feels like. He seems like a good dude. Then Zemo finds the child he found earlier. I thought he might be springing a trap on them, but he did actually bring them to the memorial. Also, I made sure to underline here. Well, before I get to that, let's talk about the memorial for Mama Danya. Karli gives a speech and she ends it with "live accordingly," and that's kind of talking about the value of life and living it. I feel like there was more to this story we didn't see. The pandemic caused massive rewrites to this series And there's speculation there may have been like an outbreak storyline, and that or in an earlier episode they say something about vaccines, and I think they may have scrapped an entire storyline where like this woman dies due to a vaccine that the Flag Smasher stole. Go watch the channel New Rockstars does a great job of breaking that down. So I think it's like a 10-minute video over there. Go check it out. It's really interesting. But that aside, um, Karli says everything because Karli and Sam meet, and she says everything I do is to end supremacy. And the way the conversation goes leads to her kind of proving Sam's point and proving Zemo's point in a way about supremacy and how it all escalates to a certain point from there. Then finally, we get a chase scene between them because John Walker blows the mission and jumps early because he's a jackass. Um, and while Karli is running, she drops all the serums. Zemo shoots her, and Zemo crushes the serums. All but one serum. And who finds that serum? John Walker. And then from here, it gets wild. Um, so the plan is to separate the group. The Flag Smasher, Karli's plan, is to separate that group and kill Captain America. Um, so then we cut back to the safe house again, and the Dora Milaje show up, the Wakandan Kingsguard or Queensguard, and starts fighting, and it's awesome. John Walker gets his ass handed to him. Even Bucky, AO immediately depowers Bucky by taking away his vibranium arm, and he didn't even know they could do that to him. There's some intense imagery with the shield being pinned by a Wakandan spear, kind of reminding us the shield is a Wakandan created symbol. I mean, it's made of vibranium. Or the old shield was, I suppose. This new shield might not be vibranium. I have a feeling the new shield is actual adamantium that Cap got during his heist. Or his returning of the stones. But then from here, we see every shot of John Walker for the rest of this episode. He becomes more desperate, and he becomes more unhinged. After he got his ass beat by the Wakandans, he was like, they weren't even super soldiers. And I mean, he didn't say it, but a person like John Walker, you can imagine, was probably upset he got his ass handed to him by women as well. Then Lamar name drops Battlestar, which I think is like his superhero persona that he becomes. So that was interesting. And then we get a cool scene between Lamar and John Walker, which at the time we do not realize. Spoiler alert, which if you're this far, why are you know there's spoilers coming, but we didn't know it was Lamar's last scene. It was I liked the scene a lot. Lamar is like the good voice in John Walker's head. And as soon as he loses him, he breaks. They talk about here how Lamar says, you have 3 medals. You always make the right decision. And John Walker says, I have 3 medals that remind me of the worst day of my life. And he says that the things we did in Pakistan, it was Pakistan, right? Or was it Afghanistan? Did I write that down? Afghanistan, my apologies. He knows he shouldn't have been awarded for what he did. It was a really nice scene. It really was. Then we cut to Karli calling Sarah. Another gripping exchange. The acting performances in this series are top notch. It starts off almost kind. It doesn't seem like Karli wants to hurt her. And then Karli confirms that when Sam shows up after Karli uses Sarah as an in-between to get to Sam. And I wrote down, it's like she went to the leverage of Sam's family because she had just lost her leverage of the serums. So, like, now that the serums are gone, she can't spread it anymore, so her leverage is lessened. But now she goes for the family to prove she still has some power in this. Then I really should have realized something was coming with Hoskins when they had him as a hostage and kept showing us those intense shots of him. I should have picked up that they were leading to something big with him, but I didn't. Um, and then it would appear that off screen, the way I interpreted it is that John Walker took that serum. Because when he throws that guy, when he meets up with Sam, he like flies through a door. Now, I guess he could have just like hit him with the shield and caused him to fly, but it felt as though he was already enhanced. And then he fights the other Flag Smashers with Sam, and Sam and John Walker being side by side was a weird moment of imagery for me. Let me see. I got a few more notes here as the episode wraps up. And then, yeah, Karli kills Lamar Hoskins. It's ballsy. It really is. I thought he had a future. He was doing well. I thought he was more redeemable than Walker was. But if Walker is about to become a massive villain, which he did at the end of this episode, I think you had to kill Lamar or take Lamar away from him so that he has no more morality compass. And then it happens. He snaps after Lamar is dead. And the guy that had been dealing with Karli this episode, who was at the grave with her, John Walker massacres him. He kills him with the shield. With the world watching. With people with their phones recording it. And he doesn't seem the slightest bit hesitant or ashamed or anything. He fucking blunt force. He kills this man in the same way he uses the same gesture that Steve used to turn off Tony's suit in Civil War. That downward smash of the shield was the same image we saw Steve in Civil War. I feel like a lot of what John Walker is spitting in the face of Steve's legacy, and that's why they keep showing us, like, the moment at the end with the shield with blood on it. I feel like you could find that shot with Steve somewhere in the MCU just without the blood. But, like, the shot of him with the shield, and then the shot of him, like, plunging the shield into Tony, they're recreating iconic moments, but through this new Captain America. It was an intense ending, man. Seeing the blood on the shield was gripping and jarring and just beautifully done. It was frightening. I'm going to pull up a tweet from a friend who worded it really well. One second. He said, the bloodying of a legacy. It shows you the idealized past America versus the actualized present America. That moment of John Walker standing in the middle of a European courtyard with a bloody shield of a man he just killed, that's America as the world sees us. And that's kind of closer to what the true... it's a mirror. That's what the true version of America is, unfortunately, in the modern day, or the way it's viewed by the rest of the world. And it's, oh my God, it was so intense. That image, the shield bloodied, and the fact that it was coming from below him, I feel like says something. Like, oh God, it was just so intense. He's a full villain now. He's unredeemable. He killed a man, like not an innocent man, a man he had authorization to kill, I'm assuming, because he was a flag smasher. But still, it was jarring. I think the whole episode was excellent. if I'm not mistaken, Zemo's on the loose now. Zemo's like actually escaped. He's not working with Bucky and Falcon anymore. It seems like he dipped. Wow. We have 2 episodes left, and I don't know where this is going. Um, the fact that there's only 90 minutes left of this show feels crazy. It feels like there should be like 5 or 6 episodes left. Um, I really don't know where we're going from here. Is John already enhanced? Was when he was killing that man, was he doing it as an enhanced person? It's weird because I figured they would have showed us that moment. I didn't think him juicing up would be an off-screen moment, but parts of that final 10 minutes made me believe he is a super soldier now. Maybe we'll cut back to seeing him do it like seconds after Lamar or before Lamar it would have been. Um, but wow. So 19 super soldier serums destroyed. John Walker is either already enhanced or is going to become enhanced soon. And what the hell happens then? Does it work? Do we get like an abomination kind of a thing where it doesn't work with him? Do we get, I don't know, Marvel zombies? Does it kill him and mutate him? Does he just become a super soldier, evil Captain America? I don't know. I have a feeling something happens where John Walker is arrested at the end of this, and then Thunderbolt Ross recruits him for like the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers or whatever it is. I'm really excited for these final 2 episodes, guys. Let me know what your favorite scene was in this episode, because there was a lot. Last week was the John Wick episode. This week felt a lot more story-driven, which I love, and character-driven. I've loved every episode so far. Tell me who your favorite character is so far. Do you prefer Sam's story? Do you prefer Bucky's story? This episode felt very Bucky heavy in terms of character. So next week, I kind of want it to go back to Sam. Give me more of the racial undertones that Sam was dealing with in that episode with Isaiah, where the cops were about to do something regrettable and something awful by... I mean, that scene in the street with the cops, where they were protecting Bucky from Sam because Sam was the angry black man. Like, I think it might be time to turn that up a little bit now, because Sam is getting more and more intense. I mean, his family's involved in this now. I think they're going to push him hard again to the point where we think he's going to break, and he won't, because I think he'll probably now. I think this series ends with Sam with the shield. I think it has to. If this was going to end with Isaiah or Eli with the shield, Eli being Isaiah Bradley's grandson, I think we would have gotten more of them this week. So this episode really made me think this series is going the way of getting Sam the shield back, and I'm all for it. Whether he keeps it for long doesn't matter. I think he should end this series with it. We should end this series with Eli in a higher position, maybe getting closer to Young Avengers territory. Who knows? Maybe you find out Eli is enhanced because of, like, he's part of Isaiah's bloodline, and the fact that he had kids, maybe he passed that gene? Maybe an X gene? I don't know. I don't know. That's just something I'm throwing out there. But tell me what you guys think. This was my favorite episode so far. I say that every week, but they keep doing better and better. So thank you guys for hanging out. If you made it to the end of the video, please give me a like, give me a comment, tell me who your favorite character is, your favorite scene so far, and tell me how you think this story ends. Because we're only 2 episodes away, and that feels crazy. Thank you guys for hanging out today. The Goose is out.